Dear delegates of the AMPS conference in Prague, June 10th to 12th, 2025, I am happy and delighted to present to you our paper. Title of the paper is, as you can see here, Interprofessional Collaboration between the Police and Fire and Rescue Services in Norway, Operational Cooperation and the Need for Joint Education. This is a pre-recorded presentation of paper number 368. Authors of this paper, they are Associate Professor Jan Helgesen from the Norwegian Police University College, Senior Advisor and PhD Kristin Hellesø Knudsen from the Norwegian Police Directorate, and myself, Professor Olebo from the Norwegian Police University College. Let's go into the introduction and background to our paper. Our objective in this paper is to explore the dynamics of collaboration between the police and the fire and rescue services in Norway, and also exploring factors affecting this collaboration. The context: the collaboration between the police and fire and rescue services, this is referred to as interagency cooperation, is essential for effective emergency preparedness and crisis management. Our research question in this paper is the following: how is collaboration between the police and fire and rescue service experienced by the police, and what factors contribute to effective interagency cooperation? So, some short background about structural differences. If you look at the police in Norway, the police is a national and centralized agency under the Ministry of Justice, and it receives state funding. Compared to the fire and rescue services, they are municipal, decentralized, with a variation in organization and resources. This leads to some structural differences, and these structural differences shape collaboration dynamics. These dynamics might be revolving around authority, how the different agencies communicate, different expectations, and there are also economical differences. Considering Norway is a very large and very long country, these might lead to different types of education, training, thinking, trust or not trust, and so on. So we will try to dwell into these interesting topics. So how do we examine the collaboration? In October 2020, the Norwegian Directorate for Civil Protection and the Norwegian Police Directorate were assigned the task to examine the collaboration between the police and the fire and rescue services. So this task also included examining the division of responsibilities and tasks these different agencies has. If you look at the mandate and the outcome from this task, the mandate is basically around looking into the collaboration between the fire and rescue services and the police and mapping this. The outcome: in 2022, a report was issued by the Norwegian Directorate for Civil Protection and the Norwegian Police Directorate. And in the present paper, we further elaborate upon some of the results from this report in our paper. So let's move on to theoretical framework. We have used a structural model of collaboration with 4 different dimensions. The theoretical framework is both a theoretical framework, and we also use it as an analytical framework to interpret the different data we had collected. So this structural model of collaboration consists of 4 dimensions. It's based on Damour et al. From 2008. The 4 dimensions are governance, formalization, shared goals and vision, and internalization. Governance deals mainly with organizational structures and things related to that. Formalization is more about tools and procedures. Shared goals and visions is more about values and identifying with each other, while internalization is more about trust, or more related to trust and interdependency between different people in different organizations. So to make it simple, you might say that the governance and formalization dimension of this model of collaboration, they are related to organizational issues, whereas the shared goals and vision and internalization are more related to relationship or individuals. We used a mixed method design in our paper. It was also used in the report from 2022. We looked at quantitative data. We extracted 46,000 assignments from the Norwegian Police Operational System. They were categorized into different types of interagency collaboration, and we were specifically interested in one category, that is the collaboration between the police and the fire and rescue services. We also looked at qualitative data. We conducted group interviews with 9 strategically selected police officers from 5 geographically and organizationally diverse police districts. We might refer to them as elite participants because they have a deep and profound knowledge of the investigated subject, which is interagency collaboration. So what did we find if you look at the quantitative findings from the police operational system? These data show that 11.7% of police assignments involve collaboration with the fire and rescue services. The most frequent of these joint missions were fires, 39%, traffic incidents, 25%, and rescue and evacuation events, 9%. This gives a picture of what type of police assignments involve collaboration with the fire and rescue services. So let's look at the qualitative findings, and now we're talking about the interviews. Here we find that about 20% of the police assignments involve collaboration with the fire and rescue services. This can be compared to the 11.7% of police assignments that was reported in the qualitative data. The discrepancy between these two figures, 20% and 11.7%, might simply be attributed to the fact that our participants were more exposed to this type of police assignments involving collaborations with the fire and rescue services. But since there are only 9 participants, we really cannot draw any conclusions from that, other than just knowing that there are reported different percentages of these police assignments. If you look at what the participants say about the general experience of collaboration, most participants reported positive experiences with collaboration with the fire and rescue services. They stated that the key factors that contributed to this positive experience of collaboration were the following: shared situational understanding, clear communication, and flexible task distribution. They further stated that the best results occurred when roles were understood and trust existed. So if we return to the structural model of collaboration, our analytical framework now, which was our theoretical framework before, we still have our 4 dimension. And what we did was we took the results from the interviews from our participants, we coded them and categorized them into these 4 different dimensions. That is governance, formalization, shared goals and vision, and internalization. So let's look at the dimension governance. Here, the participants stated that there is a lack of formal meeting structures. Collaboration often relies on informal arenas. Joint exercises is infrequent and largely ad hoc, meaning they just tend to happen without any big plan behind it. Exercises such as ongoing life-threatening violence, PLIVO in Norwegian, are valued, but they are not consistently implemented. Participants also stated that evaluation after incidents are rare. They focus mostly on personnel care and are not really related to organizational learning. So if you look at the second dimension, formalization, participants stated that regarding tools that were used and tools that could support collaboration between the different agencies, the best tools were if they could co-locate dispatch centers, meaning that the different agencies, police and rescue services, are sitting in the same center. They also stated that a good tool for supporting collaboration were what's referred to as triple notification protocols. That is, when you alert the police, the fire and rescue service, and the health services at the same time, and that the different agencies share radio channels and that they have joint command posts. Command posts are just simply different places where you can put the different agencies during a situation close to the situation. Challenges include inconsistent use of protocols, because the different agencies have different procedures and protocols on how to do things, and also variable communication quality, how they communicate and what is being stated and not. If you look at the shared goals and vision, participants stated that they found the perceived importance of shared goals important, and that there was a collective commitment to achieving these shared goals. So it's all about shared goals and vision. Participants stated there seemed to be a shared opinion that this is important. They also perceived that they shared a strong mission orientation that is for both the police and the fire and rescue services. They have this mission orientation that is related to saving lives and helping the public. Also, our police officers, the participant, perceive the fire and rescue personnel as aligned in values and purpose, meaning you could recognize the values and the purposes in the other agency, the fire and rescue services, as something similar to your own. If you look at internalization, the participants stated that trust and familiarity are critical. Effective collaboration are closely tied to familiarity and trust. This means it can be enhanced by co-location and repeated interaction, meaning putting the different agencies together, working together. Trust was also said that it was based on competence and reliability. Competence meaning knowing your work and the procedures and the subject you are working with. When it comes to role knowledge, our participants stated that it was mostly good, but especially part-time fire personnel might misunderstand police procedures, meaning, for instance, the police has specific procedures for how to do crime scene control, and the part-time fire rescue personnel might not understand how this procedure or protocol is supposed to be, so they might be stepping into a situation where the police actually want to have a crime scene control. So this might be related to not knowing your role and your responsibility enough, or the procedure that are used in different settings. So let's move on to some challenges identified from the interviews. There seems to exist, and this are our interpretation, there seems to exist a fragmented governance and weak formal structures. There seems to exist inconsistent training and follow-up practices. There seems to exist an over-reliance on informal relationships and local culture, and there seems to exist variations in collaboration. And here we find that small municipalities are especially vulnerable, related to how they can collaborate or not. So, what can we draw from this? Our recommendations, we have divided them in two. The first is about institutionalizing joint training and education. We recommend that we have shared educational programs to build mutual understanding, and that one uses more regular scenario-based exercises. This is if you want to enhance collaboration between between the police and the fire and rescue service, for instance. We also recommend that one should strengthen the governance mechanism. This means to formalize evaluation routines and to ensure consistent use of communication protocols, meaning so that everyone knows how to communicate and that they communicate according to the same protocols. So, repeating our research question, in case someone has forgotten that now, that might happen. Our research question was, how is collaboration between police and fire and rescue services experienced by the police, and what factors contribute to effective interagency cooperation or collaboration? Conclusions: collaboration is generally positive and valued, but vulnerable, according to our participant. Trust, proximity, and shared values are seen as strengths. Weaknesses exist in systemic inconsistencies. And joint education is a key to sustainable interagency cooperation. So, on behalf of my co-authors and myself, I thank you for your attention. If you have any questions about this presentation or related to the paper, feel free to contact me through email, which you see here. Thank you.